Hey everyone, I want to give you guys an update on this bucket that I was welding the other day. So I welded these two plates here, that one and that one. I worked with it, and then what I decided to do is I decided to go back and weld another plate in here in this gap, because now the entire underside has a 1/4 inch of steel on top of the 1/8 that the bucket came with. So that's a total of like 3/8 of steel. So this bucket now should like outlast the tractor. Okay. Um, so that worked out pretty good. The other thing I did is I put a because I had a gap on the back side here, so I took um, what is this, a 1/2 inch round, and I put 3 sections here, here, and over there. The reason is because I was back dragging and I saw like dirt and stuff starting to get stuck in there. I had like twigs and stuff and little branches sticking out of that backside. So I decided, also it seemed like as I was pulling back, it was stressing this plate. I couldn't visibly see it getting stressed, but I decided, hey, you know what? Why not? I had the 1/2 inch round. Why not just put it there? And now basically the whole underside is basically a total of 3/8. Because you got the 1/8 that the compact tractor bucket comes with. It's only like 150 pounds to maybe 170 pound total bucket weight here. So now I guess it's gotten up by about, I don't know, by about 20 pounds or so. This Hone 185D welder worked out good. There's lots of videos out there of guys using these small welders, but usually they're using a 220 volt line. Most people that are doing this type of work, they're going to be using 110. So when you're looking at a lot of these videos, just make sure that, when you're looking at video reviews, make sure that they're using 110 volt lines, which is most likely what you're going to be using. Okay. I did briefly consider getting a 220 volt line, but damn, it's expensive. Okay. So I don't do this much often. So you know what? It got the work done. I'm just going to stick with the only thing is that you do need a 20 amp line, okay? Because if you try to weld off if you try to weld off a 15 amp line, which is what most houses have, you're going to keep blowing out the breaker. So what I ended up doing is I was working off of this generator over here, which has a 20 amp line. And even with this, like I had to do like 1 stick at a time and let it cool down. Otherwise I was blowing breakers on this. And what I would do is I would just take so I have 2 separate outlets here. So I would take the outlet off of here and plug it into there. So I was, when I got too hot, I was rotating back and forth. So this is probably going to be if you've got a generator, you're going to use a generator because it's got a 20 amp line. And it's convenient because most of the time you're going to be doing this welding work outdoors. So you can roll this to wherever you want to roll it, okay? Yeah, I mean, at some point maybe I'll run a 20 amp line outdoors. But again, just the wiring and everything's gotten so expensive that, I got the generator. I'm just going to keep working with that. So yeah, this Hone 185D worked out very well. I did try using the 70-18 rods, but I couldn't hold an arc because basically I have to work at about 80 amps, 80 to 82 amps. Right now I just have it plugged into an outlet. I'm basically running the fan to make sure it's nice and cool. Yeah, you want to let it run after you're done for a little bit to make sure it cools down. But even running it off the 20 amp line, like I could only do like 1 of these sticks at a time, and then like I would have to like let it cool down. 60-13. If you try to do like sticks back to back, you're gonna blow the breaker. I'd rather blow out the breaker on the generator than have the machine overheat and shut down on me. So that was working out pretty good. But anyway, I want to show you guys this bucket. Yeah, I mean, I was welding a 1/4 inch steel here with the 60-13 at about between 80 and 82 amps. And yeah, it did the job, man. Saved me a bunch of money because it would have cost me $500 to. That's what it cost me a few years back on another bucket to send it out. The price has probably gone up. So it would probably cost me like, let's say $600 now, maybe even more, to get this repaired. And basically the welder was like $100, and that I get to keep. It's going to do multiple jobs. And I probably put less than $100 worth, about, close to $100 worth of steel, of material into this, between the steel and the rods. So yeah, this worked out to be very economical. And this also turned out to be a very good job to learn on, because it's a bucket. You know, it doesn't need to look pretty. You know, you can afford to make mistakes on this. You know, just do it again if you make a mistake. You know, if you oh, by the way, I did manage to like even with the, like, if you look over here, I did manage to burn through on a couple of sections. So even on the 110, you know, I more than anything, I was just testing it out to see. I mean, this is a good like type of project to experiment with. So definitely enough power to work on the 1/4 inch with the 6013 rods. In what did I say it was, 332nd. You just gotta, you know, because you gotta work in the low. You can't like, I tried working at 100 amps, and again, I just kept blowing out breakers. So you gotta work at like 80 amps, which works good with the 6013. And still, even on a 20 amp line, you gotta like let it rest. You know, let the machine and your line cool down a little bit. Hey, I want to add one more thing. I think, I don't know for sure, but I think one of the benefits of getting a dual 110/220 volt welder, even if you're primarily going to be welding at 110, is I think that you're going to get a much more solid machine, right? So if they built this thing to handle 220 volts, I think that like there's less chance of you burning it out welding at 110. Okay, so that's something to consider. In addition to the fact that, hey, down the road you may want to actually get a 220 line. As far as the controls, and this was a little confusing the first day I got it, because the directions on this are like really confusing. The really fine print lettering, hard to read. So you just got basically 2 buttons and a knob here, right? So this button here, this first one where it says MMA and then lift. So if you are stick welding, you're going to be in MMA mode, and that's the default mode. If you're going to TIG weld, which I haven't done, I don't plan to, you press it and it goes over to lift. If you're out in the sun, you may not see that the buttons are lit at all, right? But yeah, it's going to default to the MMA, which is stick welding. The VRD, okay, that's if you're like welding in like a wet environment and you want to run at a lower voltage. So that's what that is. I didn't use that at all, but that's like a voltage reduction. So that's what that is. And then on your dial here, there's 2 sets of numbers. The numbers are on the inside, or if you're is the amps if you're welding on a 110 line, and the numbers on the outside are if you're welding on a 220 line. Okay, and the machine knows on its own what the what voltage you're using. Okay, so for me, I was just using the numbers on the inside, which also read up on the display, which is actually looks pretty good. In the camera, it seems to blink, but it doesn't blink when I'm actually looking at it. Now, there's a couple of features that this has, like hot start and anti-stick, and that stuff's automatic. You don't have to. It has nothing to do with the buttons here, so that just works. I mean, it didn't work great with the 718, but it worked really good with the 6013, which is what I recommend you'll at least start with. Okay, so yeah, that's what it is. And then basically, you got the red is your. Basically, I have my stinger on the positive, and then the negative is the black. I didn't try reversing it or anything. The 6013 is supposed to work good on either. If you don't want deep penetration, or you're afraid if you're welding something really thin and there's a fear that you might burn through, then you might switch it because you're going to have less penetration. If you're on the if the what do you call it, the clamp is on the positive side and you're using the negative, because what that means is that the electricity is going out through the clamp, and then it's returning through the stinger. So that's usually how I weld when I'm using a flux core, like my Lincoln flux core, because that line is so thin that you don't want to burn it out. That's why you have to be on the negative. But with this, you can go on the positive with the stinger, and that will give you deeper, better penetration, and on the 1/4 inch I was welding, that's what I needed. If I was going to do something really thin, maybe I would consider reversing it. I'll give you guys a look at the backside here. So on the backside, just got that on-off switch. It's kind of like a breaker. Feels like a breaker, but it doesn't like go off like a breaker. Like if the machine overheats, it just shuts off. But I was able to work so that, like for me, the breaker on the generator was normally getting knocked out before this machine would shut down, and that's fine. I like it like that. And also important, like you guys saw me do earlier, when you're done welding, don't just shut the machine off. Let the fan run for a while to make sure it cools down internally. Okay, because otherwise what happens is not on this one, but on other machines I have heard of people where they use it one time, they put it away, they come back, and next time it's not working. A possibility there is that they didn't let the machine cool itself down when they put it away hot, and it kind of burnt itself out. Okay, so I mean, obviously I haven't experienced this with this, but that would be a reason why you want to just let the machine, fan run a little bit when you're done. Hey everyone, I just finished welding on these hooks onto this stump bucket. Now this is an excellent stump bucket to have on your tractor. Basically, it's like it gives you a digging option. But anyway, this is a thicker piece of metal. This is 3/8, and yeah, this was a lot tougher to weld. When I tried welding at the 80 amps, it just wasn't melting it. So I had to bring this up to almost 100. I think I'm at 97 right there. So that was the only way that I could get this to start, to melt the 3/8. It's probably like a much higher carbon steel. Totally different welding experience. Basically, I had about 25 seconds before I blew the breaker on that generator over there, on the 20 amp line, 20 amp outlet. So yeah, at 100 amps, you're only getting about 25 seconds, and that's with the 3/32 rod. Okay, so big difference. Welding that, which was like a 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch, and then jumping up to the 3/8 inch steel over here. I'm in a rush. I have to go. I'm gonna come back in a day or two. I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow, and I am gonna add another layer there. I'm going to rebead that just for extra, just give it a little extra strength. But yeah, I mean, I had no choice. I had to go up to 100 amps on this 3/8 steel there, and that little guy there had to go up to 97 amps, and basically I got about 25 seconds of welding time, so that I didn't blow my breaker on the generator. And then what I would do is, like, I would use that time to clean it up. I would grind it, and that's what I would do in the in-between time. Hey everyone, so I did about 5 hours of work with this bucket, and the welds held up just fine. I was doing a lot of like digging type of work, so pretty rough with the bucket. So good enough is good enough.